Hello, 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 all my beautiful beasties. How's everybody doing? So, this is going to be a very different stream, and I'm actually in my living room. It's going to be a very different stream to my normal. So, let me just explain a little bit of where this is going to go and what's going to happen tonight and tomorrow so that everybody's got a little bit more context. And then we're going to kick it off. I will tell you all now there are sensitive topics going to be covered, and I have 3 rules. If you are disrespectful to my guest that comes up and tells his story, one of the mods or I will yeet. Okay, this is incredibly brave of this person. Okay, 2, um, it is important that we try to share this and get people to see this, because when you hear what happened to somebody that you all know that's been on my channel for a long time as a supporter and how absolutely horrifically they were treated and what they had to go through, you're going to see why the heroine of all of this is so important. And we need to make sure that we uplift this person and that we show her that what she did is appreciated, and that silly political jealousy and things are not going to tarnish her career, because this shows how amazing of a person she is and how much she means to everybody, right? So keep it classy in the chat, guys. Don't make me, okay? So Blitzen, thank you for the gifted memberships. Thank you. It was so sweet. Okay, so here we go, guys. I'm gonna bring in, everybody knows Muffin Rando. He has been here from day one. Hi, Treem. Thank you. Rocky Lennon. Hi, everybody. Okay, I'm gonna introduce Muffin. We're gonna take like 2 minutes for Muffin to say hi, and he's gonna explain it. And we're gonna go into the, hey, Credence and Mikey, thank you. We are going to go into the heroine that we all need, and we didn't know we had. Hey, Muffin.
Well, hey there, how y'all doing today? I can't see chat, so I don't know what anybody's saying, but
You've
thanks for
got
being
Muffin
here.
Rando, lots of hugs, and I will keep you apprised. Okay?
Thank you.
The floor is yours, Muffin.
Well, we just wanted to kind of put this story out there that's kind of been hidden, and it's not like any way to put it out. It's amazing the person that came up to help, and we're going to discuss that, but I was literally against a rock, and there's nothing I could do to move it, and I was at my last limb, and I reached out to Loki here and I asked if maybe she could assist me because I'm not like some kind of overeducated person. I don't do well speaking and I don't do well. And, I watched LawTube, of course, but there's a lot of stuff you don't know and you think you know going into it, but you find out later what you did know wasn't all that you needed to know. So you kind of need somebody in your field, your wheelhouse there to help steer you in the correct path. And I can't say that it turned out any better than I ever dreamt it. It turned out twice as good as I thought it would. And I think she saved the day for both me and the other person involved in this. And it's been a rough road, but we're trying to make sure that it's not buried and people know about it.
Okay. So you want to tell them what happened, Muffin?
Okay, well, this is in a small town in Minnesota. And I know I don't sound like I'm from Minnesota because I'm not, but I'm just a Florida redneck, but we moved here, I'd say 5 years ago, and my ex is from this place, and basically what happened is the worst thing you can think of. You send your kid off to school on the bus, and you think he's gonna have a good day, and he's gonna come back home after on school on the bus, and that bus is there to transfer your kid from home to school, school to home. Nothing really exciting happens on a bus. You might have an occasional outbreak of a kid or something like that, but something more than that happened this time. The bus driver who happened to be you know, the school supervisor for the bus barn. He was the bus driver. This man used his position to groom certain kids. He would, you know, make extra long waits on the end of the bus route and find ways to turn the camera off, GPS off, and he would then facilitate his, inner whatever of a chomo onto these victims who, scared to death, don't know what to say, don't know how to fight, don't know what to do. So not only did this bus driver have access to my son, I felt like crap because when I didn't send my daughter to school, that would allow other things to happen because she wasn't there to, you know, speak up. But what happened is this bus driver was a friend of the family, and he basically hired my son for a summer of work. And what he would do is he would get my son to pressure wash, work, load logs, do things, just wear him out all day long. And then at the end of the day, he would take him to the quote unquote trailer. Now, this trailer was off by itself, and there he would, with my kid and other kids, he would supply booze and smokes, and I'm thinking, maybe Xanaxes that they didn't know they're getting, and would facilitate his crimes upon victims, my son being one of them. And it's hard because you just think the guy you're trusting, this guy who is the bus supervisor, an ex-sheriff, a a city council member, a former Boy Scout, a churchgoer, everything that you would say, okay, my son is safe. It is not that way. And I'm sitting here stuck thinking, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So we basically what happened is the other kid came forward and the other victim rather, and he got the law involved, and the law made the arrest. Well, after all that was come out, we put two and two together and realized that my son was part of that issue. So, he did not want to come forward. He does not want to talk about it. He does not want to associate with it. He does not want to do anything about it. And I don't want to push him at all, and I won't. But he was able to give a statement, and the statement did help. But what happened is a year of basically back and forth, some small, pre-motions and things of that nature. He kept trying to get a plea deal, a way out of it. He thought he was going to be able, because he was an ex-cop, ex-council member, knew people on the inside, was able to get out of it. And it didn't work out that way, but I think it could have been a little bit better had the state done what they were supposed to do and stand up for the victims instead of kind of teesaw him hawing and giving partial charges and things of that nature. Now, I had no way to foresee how this was going to play out, but he did what I realize now is he pled out. He pled out to the crimes if the
Do
state
you want me to
drops
explain
some
it?
of the felonies. They
So
actually dropped these felonies.
what happened is the prosecutor came to Muffin and said, "Would you guys be amenable to a plea?" Muffin said no. And mind you, they had proof and evidence of at least two victims, but they know of approximately 5 or 6 victims that this man molested. He was a police officer, a Boy Scout leader, a church orderly elder person, a councilman, an elected official. And he did this on the bus while he had these children. They allowed him, in, there were 2 cases. In the case involving the first child that came forward, there were 9 felony charges. He was allowed to plead guilty to 2 of them that were not the top charges, and the rest was dropped. And then in the case involving Muffin's child, he pled guilty to two. The other five of seven were dropped. So they took a serial child sex offender and allowed him to plead guilty to two minor charges. When all is said and done, and after what he did, and we will talk about that tomorrow because we're going to talk about how corrupt things really went, but he was able to plead to charges that the maximum sentence was 12 years. They dismissed a grand total of 12 felony counts. And we're not going to go into some of it tonight. We're going to go into that tomorrow when we talk about the other stuff. 12 was the maximum. But here's where the problem comes in. Muffin didn't know how the court system works. And Muffin didn't know that there should be a victim's advocate to help him. And Muffin didn't know that he had protections and what their rights were. And so now you guys are going to hear now what they told Muffin was going to happen and what the penalty that the prosecutor was asking. I'll tell you what the defense wanted after, because when I read you that, you're going to lose it. But what the prosecutor was saying, if they're lucky, we'll get this, and we're just going to request this. So I'm going to turn this back to Muffin, but that's what you need to understand. They dropped 12 felony charges and did not charge him for the assaults in any of the other cases. And they undercharged this one heavily. So you want to explain what happened, Muffin, with sentencing?
Yeah, so basically how sentencing worked, I found out after the fact, is you have to have basically if it was just the one case, how it works in Minnesota, you get a point system. So if you start out with 0 points, you're basically free to walk on parole, probation, that kind of thing. Whole prison system's too crowded. So what they have to do is they have to build stack of points so they can, charge accordingly. So basically, with my son, they used him as the stepping stone and to get him a sentence. Period. But what they were offering was basically, 2 to 4 years, and this is in Minnesota. I think it's in most places. You only serve 2/3 of it. So, and able to get them to start out and give him the points we needed for the second victim, which was actually the first victim that came forward. Um, they needed us, and the statement that I was helped with from Debbie Davis.
We'll explain that in a minute.
Okay.
So, what did they tell you that you would be lucky if he served before you came to me?
I think before we started, we were really. It was probably going to be a year, to be honest with you.
They were saying a possible year of incarceration, but that most likely, if the prosecutor, based on his recommendation and the other counsel, they were going to give him 18 months of probation.
Yeah.
They would be lucky, and Muffin would be lucky if they gave him a year of custody. But in all likelihood, this gentleman in a position of power who had sexually assaulted multiple children was going to do 18 months of probation. Let that sink. For two children under the age of 15. Probation.
Yeah.
And the prosecutor told Muffin he'd be lucky and to be happy with it.
So on top of this, what we run into is you run into your plea date, and then you get your sentencing date. Okay. Now the sentencing date was set, and the prosecutor that kind of jacked all this up decided to step down, and a brand new prosecutor at the last minute literally a couple weeks before the sentencing, took over the case. So this guy had to read up, catch up, and figure out what everything was going on because he hadn't been on this case, didn't know this case. So we walk into the court and we sit down for our meeting, and he begins to explain to us, what they kind of did, which I just thought it was a flat, I pled guilty. But you got to understand, I guess when I say pled guilty, I should have thought the first word was pled, and I didn't realize I was letting him make a deal. But the deal kind of came up to that because he could not be he couldn't necessarily get jail time at all, period. But they were looking for that year for just my son because the point system. So he would have walked on just probation most likely. So with us coming forward and starting, we gave them the 2 points. The judge was able then to use that as on the second case. So they started the second case after I read my statement. And
So what happened was, not to cut you off, but I want to make sure they kind of get their clear timeline on this, Muffin. So what happened is one night I was laying in bed, and everybody who's a part of my channel knows I check my emails. Checked my emails, and I see an email from Muffin that just says help. And I read it, and it broke my heart. And he said, I have to give a victim impact statement. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. And they're going to let the man that sexually abused my child for years walk on probation. Isn't there anything I can do? What can I say to the judge? What can we do? And Muffin came to me because he had nowhere else to turn, because the victim's advocate was never an advocate and never helped him and didn't tell him anything.
yeah,
I personally, I'm great at writing, but I don't know what's important in a plea, right? Like what a judge is going to take weight in a victim statement. What are we going to, like what's the most amount of weight we can, put behind this? So this is where we get to the part of the story where I say we have a heroine. We have a heroine that we all needed. Muffin, everybody, every one of those children. You were going to let this man walk with 18 months probation for sexually abusing 2 children, one of whom is handicapped.
not just two, but those were the ones that
Well,
were able
they're
to
only
get through.
charging for the 2. They have others they know of. But nope, it's okay. We're just going to let it go. So I would like to introduce you to the heroine that we all needed and didn't know. We all know who that is. The beautiful, the wonderful, the amazing Debbie Davis. So she saved the day. So what happened was I reached out to Debbie and I said, Debbie, here's the situation. This is what they've done. And she was horrified, and she was horrified at what the prosecutor had charged it as. And Debbie Debbie'd. You think the angry looks that Debbie gave to people in Middleton's court, or to when we had the offender off, camera that she caught, or the angry Debbie face and the eye rolls, you could feel them through the screen when I was talking to Debbie about what happened. So Debbie helped Muffin craft a statement. She said, I can't be your lawyer. I can't give you legal advice, but I can tell you as a prosecutor who listens to statements, who helps, who listens to these statements and knows what will mean something, I will help you with that. So now she does know where there's free housing, and she found this person free housing. We'll get there. So I'm going, what did Debbie do? Debbie was our heroine. Debbie helped Muffin write a statement that would make a difference. Muffin, are you okay if I read it? Because I know you don't want to read it again.
Yeah, just try to leave
I
that
will leave out
name.
the names.
Okay. I just
I'm
want to
gonna.
say first before you read it,
Sure.
this was several emails. I mean, I had to do my best to write my best, and from my chicken scratch, she was able to craft the statement. It was not like I did it. I tried my best to put everything I thought needed to be in there, but the way she fixed that issue and made it actually sound like I had in my head, you can't underestimate anything she does. She is very good.
Okay. So I'm gonna read you the statement that Debbie helped craft. Right. I am going to redact names, but I'm not going to redact the monster. I don't. I don't care about him. I don't care about his information, and you'll find that out tomorrow, because I will shame this man. I will name and shame in a heartbeat. So she helped Muffin through many emails, and this is the statement they came up with. The purpose of a victim impact statement is to give the court a chance to hear how the crime, or in this case, crimes committed, affected each victim. As the parent of one of the defendant's victims who was repeatedly molested by the defendant, I will try to explain the effect on my son. However, the trauma he's experienced and will likely continue to manifest itself in various ways for the rest of his life, no matter how much therapy and healing takes place. There are certain elements and factors to the defendant's case that should cause most rational human beings to agree that his crimes are exponentially more damaging and disgusting than others who have been convicted of sex crimes against children. Specifically, the defendant spent a significant period of time selecting, grooming, and repeatedly molesting victims. More than one victim, more than one time. The defendant didn't give in to his urges of pedophilia once due to an opportunistic situation. He created these situations repeatedly over a substantial period of time. Daniel Stacy used his feigned interest in helping teens to target a population of victims that would be the least likely to report wrongdoing. He supplied them with alcohol, tobacco, and money. He gained the trust of the parents by working in professions that lend an automatic level of trust to the community: a police officer, a school bus driver, a Boy Scout troop leader. These are each positions that parents would expect are held by a person of high moral character. He held himself out as a religious man using another method of not only gaining the trust of community members, but also a means of manipulating impressionable minds of potential victims. As a father, I feel an incredible amount of guilt that I didn't see him for what he is and was: a pedophile without the ability to control his impulses, but intelligent enough to construct his lifestyle to appear as though he's kind, caring, religious, and upstanding. It is the ultimate betrayal of trust when someone like Daniel Stacy knowingly, purposefully, and repeatedly aligns himself with groups of professions in order to provide himself with an endless supply of victims with trusting parents. As an adult, he made choices to put himself in situations that allowed him to act in disgusting ways. I'm not going to read a part of it because there are names and details that I'm not comfortable putting out. But I will say, it says he set up a trailer out of the view of the public and his wife on his own property to create a place to carry out the molestations without interruption or detection. Our family has not been given access to the entirety of the police reports. The information the media has shows a pattern of this behavior with other victims, multiple other victims. My child's life was forever altered. His innocence in childhood was selfishly destroyed. And it goes through all of the things that have happened, all of the things that Muffin's poor son has to go through. But here's where Debbie really knocks this out of the park, right? Sentencing for a crime isn't about punishment. It's about sending a message to others that may choose to engage in these deviant behaviors like Daniel Stacy. It's about giving the defendant an opportunity to rehabilitate himself through an honest, conscious effort to address the demons inside that resulted in his long, continuous pattern of grooming victims and putting himself in positions of trust and authority to assist him in victimizing children. It's about protection of society. In Daniel Stacy's case, his significant history of repeated acts of pedophilia and a conscious effort to avoid detection to suggest he lacks remorse and self-awareness to be able to effectively address his deviant behavior. His triggers may not be avoidable, as there are and will always be children in society he could come into contact with. A steady supply of potential victims for a person who lacks the ability to give a genuine effort to correct his behaviors. Thankfully, there is a place available where his triggers of having access to minors is absolutely controlled and eliminated: prison, i.e., I know where there's a bed for you. I'm going to skip a whole bunch of it again because there's stuff that does not need to go out. And then she says Daniel Stacy attempted to convince the family members and church he didn't do anything wrong. He lived his lifestyle with minimal interruption. While on bond, awaiting disposition of his case, he took a vacation to the Bahamas as if nothing happens while we were dealing with a very public criminal case. He knew what he had done. He chose to act with indifference. He showed zero remorse or humility. He received speeding tickets while out on bond, even after entering into an agreement. He chose victims he could manipulate and manipulated the trust of them and their families using his position of authority. There are mitigating factors to suggest Daniel Stacy should be given. There are no mitigating factors suggesting he should be given any leniency. To the contrary, the factors of crime suggest his penalty to be exponentially more harsh than average. Looking back on seemingly benign situations, now that have come to light, I struggle with an immense amount of guilt. Hold on. We're going to skip some of this. And we're going to go to the last part. Although the court is bound by certain rules and I am not well versed in all of the legal factors, I respectfully ask this court to give the maximum incarceration of Daniel Stacy in order to protect society from his deviant behavior, as well as punish him and send a clear message that child molestation will not be tolerated, no matter how much money you have or who you are connected to through employment or politics. That is what Debbie was able to craft and help get across. And I think Debbie most definitely got across a perfect statement. Muffin, you want to tell them what else Debbie did for you?
It's definitely hard to go back over,
I know, honey.
but I just want to say that that statement, I think, really impacted the judge. And well, in this trial, she called the judge and she asked the judge if she could Zoom. Now that's not something that happens. You in Minnesota court, it's very, very strict. Like I couldn't stream or broadcast this trial. It's against the law in Minnesota. So for her to step out of the way, contact the judge, and actually attend the hearing via Zoom meant I had somebody there watching over and making sure things went the way they should have gone. Her being a prosecutor, the judge knew she was a prosecutor. Hey, she's in Michigan watching, and I better make sure I do everything the way I should do it because I don't want this getting out that I didn't do what I'm supposed to do. So I think that actually helped the outcome as well.
And mind you guys, this was happening in the run up to her election. She took time out of her campaign days before it was voting time, in the middle of all of this. And she did. She went to the judge and said, can I Zoom up here so he has a support person? Because they didn't tell Muffin he was allowed to have a support person. Okay. So tomorrow we're going to go through the rest of this because this man needs outed for everything he's done and what they didn't do. But yeah, this is what Debbie's like when no one's watching. So it horrifies me that when you Google her name, you see the slanderous stupidity of somebody else that tried to get her in trouble when Debbie is one of the only people that truly cares. This woman, the weekend of a wedding, was emailing and texting to help make sure this was crafted perfectly for maximum effect. She showed up to someone she doesn't know. She showed up for him on Zoom because I couldn't go in person. It's a closed thing. They control it very tightly, but they allowed her in because she's a legal professional. So this right here is where I need your help. Muffin and I need your help. It has come to our attention that the State Bar of Michigan has a Champion of Justice Award. The Champion of Justice Award is for a State Bar of Michigan member with integrity and adherence to the highest principles and traditions of the legal profession, superior professional competence, and an extraordinary professional accomplishment that benefits the nation, the state, or the community in which the lawyer or the judge lives. There's also one other one. There are 2 awards that Debbie is eligible with this. These awards will make Debbie's career if she gets them. It will erase any shadow of anything, and it will show the people and everybody in Michigan that Debbie is more than just Judge Middleton's prosecutor in court that can roll her eyes. This shows every prosecutor what you should strive to be as a legal professional. What kind of amazing stand-up advocate for those who don't know how to advocate for themselves. That she did this on her own time for someone she had no obligation to. As Muffin can attest.
I mean,
What?
she's got her animals to deal with and a family.
Yeah, she's got her animals, her family.
She got work to do.
Muffin, honey, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry, my thing died. Let me change it real quick.
Okay. Guys, I'm going to put my email. Everybody should know it, but there's my email. We have already filled out the form. When Muffin comes back, he can tell you what was said to him by all of the others. Because of Debbie's statement, this man was sentenced to 6 years in prison. Because Debbie helped Muffin craft an impactful and appropriate statement to have maximum impact, he got 6 years. He didn't get the 18 months of probation. He got 6 years of custody, something the prosecutor said no to, something that was above even what their prosecutor asked for. So we have already filled out the application to nominate Debbie for the Champion of Justice and for the Top Prosecutor Award.
She deserves it.
She does. What we are asking is that you share this video and that we share this video. You share my email. I don't care if I get a single subscriber. This is about Debbie. That we share this and that everybody that supports Debbie, everybody that has watched her in Judge Middleton's court and has seen how ferociously she advocates for people, everybody who is here, listen to Muffin. Everybody, send me emails. The more we can, the better. Because the more support we get behind this, the higher the chance that Debbie will win these 2 awards.
Even if it's short and simple and, just get the basics in there and just to add to the pile. That's all we need. We need the biggest pile we can get and the most people we can get behind her and show her that her task didn't go unnoticed.
And even if she doesn't win the award, this story needs to be shared out. That Debbie really is the prosecutor for the people, even for people not in her state. Raven said, what do you want the email to say? We just want the email to say, I feel that Debbie should be given these awards. She was the champion of justice. Debbie always advocates. Look what she's done. Look what, we support this. I live in her state and I would love to have her as a prosecutor. Anything, the more we can put behind it, the more support, the more people that get behind Debbie and the Debbie Davis cause in this, the better the chance. I've already talked to the people from the state bar. But we need to make sure Debbie gets the recognition, and Debbie deserves every ounce of it. Debbie stepped in when she didn't have to. So we need to, yeah, Melissa, she is. And that's why we want her to win this, and that's why we need emails. We need emails. You can send me an email that just says that. Every time I've seen her, look, this is what she does. This is what I want in a prosecutor. I want a prosecutor that's going to advocate for me, not like that prosecutor that didn't. Because Like I said, she's the heroine we all need. And Muffin never expected it would be her. But guys, this could have been your child. It could have been my child. It could have been anybody. And if you didn't have somebody like Debbie to intervene, this man would still be on the streets with 18 months of probation and no custody. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. When did he stop working? He just stopped working a year ago when he was charged. Up until he was charged, he still worked there.
Yeah, he was put on, that
Paid
probation
leave.
investigation crap.
Yeah, he got paid
Oh,
leave while they investigated it.
yeah, exactly. Freedom Rome. You want to
Mm-hmm.
guess how many days of jail he did? Well, once he was first charged? That's right. 3 days. 3 days, and he had year and a little more of free reign to walk and do what he wanted.
No, Bears
And
beats Battlestar Galactica. We're not kidding you. And thanks to Debbie and thanks to Debbie's support, he is going to serve time in custody. But as
and
much as we're
he didn't
go for
want
it,
to do
Muff.
jail time. Remember? I mean, he did.
Yeah.
I got a bad
Oh yeah,
back.
here
I
guys.
got it.
Here, hold
Yeah,
on. Should we tell them why he shouldn't have to do jail time?
yeah.
You think we
Let's
should
let's
tell
do
them?
that.
Let's tell them.
Definitely.
Because why? Why should he do jail time? I mean, seriously. Why would we do jail time for something like this? That's silly. This doesn't need jail time. This should be parole. This, ladies and gentlemen, I am not going to put up on. Well, actually, am I? Yeah, screw it. I'll put it up on the sync screen because there is nothing about children. Uh, yeah, yeah. That's why I'm blowing this up, and that's why I'm asking that everybody shares this and gets it out. You live there. You know people who are in that school district. He molested, I think they're saying 6 or 7 children they know of. Nobody heard about it. This is ridiculous. But here, let's all talk about the fact that you know who the victim is, guys. Guys, you know who the real victim is? It's Daniel Stacy. Sir, I'm sorry. You can F right the hell off if you think you a victim of anything. You can F right off, in my opinion. We all know I do not care. I give 0 Fs in this situation. Okay, let's look about this moron. Sentencing, nobody gives a shit. Here we go. Minnesota sentencing guidelines seek to establish equity in sentencing and to ensure sanctions are proportional to defendants' offense of criminal history. So constitutional goals, guidelines function as an advisory tool for the sentencing judge. Great. Least restrictive sanction. And go through all the case law, all that fun stuff. Here we go. He's amenable to treatment and probation. Mr. Stacy respectfully moves for the court for downward dispositional departure based on his particular amenability to treatment and probation. He presents several substantial and compelling circumstances to justify a downward dispositional departure. His amenity to treatment. He complied with a psych exam. He began a sex offender treatment program. Don't care. Go away. But this is what I love. Mr. Stacy is active and engaged in group sessions. From the start, he's been open and talkative, readily sharing experiences and challenges with the group. His active participation and vital contributions not only aided his growth, but impacted others. I don't care. No one cares. I don't care. And then he does the. I was abused. That does not justify anything, sir. Provided Mr. Stacy successfully completes his sex offender treatment program, his already below average risk to the community will only decrease. This appears to make a prison sentence unnecessary from a public safety standpoint. Sir. 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 Conclusion. You don't need to hear any of the bullshit. Mr. Stacy is in no way a danger to the public or anyone in his life. He has lost everything that made his life worth living. Outside of defense, he lives his life in a way that demonstrates he is particularly amenable to probation. With proper treatment and precautionary measures, he'll succeed. Sending him to prison no way benefits the victim or society, and he already lost everything important to him. His wife divorced him, and his children don't speak to him. And he lost his job. Sir. Sir. How in the egg McFuck muffin are you telling me this man is not a danger to society? How in the egg McFuck muffin is he not a risk to the community? He molested multiple children, including a disabled one on his bus route. He was a police officer. Sir, I don't care you're divorced. That didn't ruin your life. You ruined your life. You ruined these children's lives. I have zero sympathy for you. None. At all. Get on you. She divorced you. Your kids don't want to talk to you. No shit. Actions have consequences. You're really, I'm not a danger. Sir, there's not a goddamn thing you did that says you're not a danger. I was already a below average risk. If you're a below average risk and you molested multiple children over many years and groomed them, I think we have a different definition of below average risk if you seem to think that your conduct falls into that category. So yes, guys, this idiot thinks he's not a danger. Go us. Like, are you delusional? I don't know what in the egg McFuck muffin that man is smoking, but still, there's not enough.
Not to be confused with Muffin Rando. I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. No. This is absolutely ridiculous. Hey, Ogre. You harmed children.
And he had surgery, so he has a little disability that was also part of his.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He needs a hip replacement. He needs a hip replacement, and his knees hurt because he's old and arthritis, and then like that makes it a risk that if he's in jail, like he could get beat up or something because like he can't protect himself. Right. I'm spitballing here. Y'all know. I'm just spitballing. Because you're 60, can't move around as well. You're scared that you're going to get beat up by the younger guys who you deserve it, but okay. We don't condone violence. I mean, technically not allowed to condone it, but your safety's at risk because you're vulnerable compared to them. What in the ever-loving fuck do you think those children you did that to? What position were they in again? Who was the one that was vulnerable? And now we're supposed to worry about you being vulnerable because you being the adult and going after children when they were vulnerable. We're not supposed to send you to jail because you don't want to face consequences? They're going to be mean to me. They're going to hurt me. Just like what you did to these children. I'm sorry, no. No. No, sir, we do not.
Yeah. It's, I don't know.
Zero sympathy for that man.
And just think, without Debbie's help, this man would be probably sitting there watching TV on a couch somewhere, eating pizza. You know, ankle monitor, whatever, just sitting there, living it like he was going to live it before he got caught.
Or even after he got caught, because we went to the Bahamas.
Yeah, which he denied, but there was pictures on Facebook showing it, and he had to take them down, of course. But
Yeah, I mean, no, but he's vulnerable.
Yeah. And he moved 6 hours away, in case you guys are wondering why I didn't, look for parking lot justice or something of that nature, which I don't condone. Right? Wink. But, yeah. Didn't know where he was. Had no clue.
Thank you, each and everything.
He was allowed to move, actually.
Yes,
move out of the county. Because,
Debbie is the person that figured it out. And Debbie is the person that stepped up to help my channel member.
Yeah, it was kind of
Debbie
like a
stepped
call in
up.
favor, and it wasn't a favor. She didn't look at it as a favor. She looked at it as something she had to do.
Debbie stepped up when their prosecutor and their victim services didn't. And thanks to them, and thanks to Muffin reaching out, this man is going to jail for 6 years and not 18 months of probation, which the prosecutor was cool with and like his attorney was pushing for. This is insanity. So we are nominating Debbie for the Champion of Justice Award in the state of Michigan. I ask that, like I said, share it out, get it out there. You guys have my channel email. Even if it's just, I watched Debbie when she was in Judge Middleton's courtroom, and I see how much of an advocate she is, and she's the advocate I'd want. Because, Muffin, would you like to tell them what the parent of the other victim said to you after you read the statement Debbie helped you with?
So the other parent, it was kind of like me, and she didn't have help writing her victim statement, and she didn't know how to get it out, just like me. She had no clue, and I really didn't know how to reach because we weren't really shared the information of victims or numbers or other parents or anything on the case because we were a separate case. And after I read my statement, she kind of even broke down when she read hers and said everything Muffin said or said was dead on, and everything that man is basically what was Debbie helped me write. And there was a gang, or not a gang, I'm sorry, a motorcycle club in the courthouse with us. That's 9 motorcycle club members sitting in the benches. And she just basically hugged me afterwards, broke down, and said, I'm so glad that you put that statement because I didn't know how to say it. I didn't know what to do.
Debbie, what were you saying, Muffin? I don't want to interrupt you, sweetheart.
No, I said just she told me she didn't know what to do, just like me.
Debbie is amazing. Debbie is everything you want in a prosecutor in your county. ABC, I don't know, but they were about to let this man walk with 18 months of probation after he molested 2 children for multiple years and admitted to it.
Plus others.
Plus others. It took Debbie helping Muffin. They didn't tell Muffin he was allowed to have a support person. And by the time I told him he could, it was too late. So Debbie stepped up and went to the judge on her own time, never told anybody, so she could be there with Muffin in court via Zoom.
Now, something I'm going to say about the other victim is he is currently in a psychiatric hospital, and he's been there since before the sentencing. So you can understand how bad it was for the other victim. He had to get medical, and I'm not going to say anything, to whatever, but I think that covers it, and it's safe to say. I just want you to know
how horrific this person was.
Yep.
This person is the epitome of awful. This prosecutor's office is awful. Nobody helped Muffin. Muffin came to me, and I went to the, prosecutor for the people that I found through Mike. And Debbie stepped up. Debbie stepped up, never asked for anything. Debbie did not do this for fanfare. Debbie did not do this for money. Debbie didn't do this for anything other than she felt it was right and was horrified that a prosecutor was letting somebody that harmed children get off with just probation. So, like I said, can one of my mods pop Debbie's channel Debbie just was elected the new prosecutor, so we'll get to see her in Judge Middleton's court again. She is the new prosecutor, so I don't know how much she'll be up on our channel, but yeah, it's Debbie Davis says. But Debbie deserves all the love, the hug, the credit, and like I said, share this, make sure everyone knows how great Debbie is, and send emails, even if it's just 1 or 2 sentences. Anybody we can get behind this, we want behind it, because we are lobbying for Debbie to be recognized. Because Debbie really did become a champion of justice and go above and beyond to protect children in another state when the prosecutor in that county didn't. That's despicable. And Muffin, I cannot thank you enough, and I cannot give you my condolences enough for what has happened to you and your son, but I cannot thank you enough for agreeing to come on here and be vulnerable so that we can air this person's laundry out, and get Debbie the recognition she so rightfully deserves for what she did.
It wasn't easy, I'm going to tell you that.
I know.
It had to be done. It had to be done, and that's how I look at it.
I know, and we are all proud of you, Muffin, and we thank you. We know how hard it was. We know it's hard. And we all thank you for it, and you have all the support. On that note, guys, tomorrow night, tomorrow night, we're gonna roast the ever-living daylights out of this gentleman and how things got to where they are and why he almost got out of trouble and almost didn't serve a day in prison. That 3 days, that would have been his only custodial time if they had their way without Debbie. So
I definitely want to thank everybody for coming and listening to the whole thing and being respectful and understanding. And I really ask that you do just send that email about Debbie, even if you got to think of a couple days or just something, and we can add them all to the pile. It would mean a lot to me, and I think the cause, and I appreciate it.
It means the world to me, you guys, that you showed up. It means the world that Mike helped get a bunch of you here. It means the world to me that I have great friends and a great community on YouTube and of people that are willing to show up, especially for something that's not easy. And let's get Debbie the recognition she so rightfully deserves. Muffin knows he has all of us in his corner. Tomorrow night, we're going to go through the things that they did, because there's some things that I think, we got some things that the sunlight needs to disinfect going on in that county in Minnesota. We're going to need to disinfect some things with sunlight. We're going to need to. Okay? So, I want to thank you all. And again, thank you, Muffin. Thank you.
No, thank you for doing it.
Anything, Muffin, I would do anything for you and your son. And, let's all rally behind Debbie, and let's make sure Debbie understands that she truly is in a league of her own, and that she's the prosecutor everybody needs. Like I said, the heroine that everybody needs, and not the one you expect to be coming. So I'm going to say goodnight, guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a little bit more heavy, but I was not going to break down the case with Muffin, just kind of out of respect. He didn't want to have to relive it. So that's why we split it into 2. But we have some interesting motions and interesting justifications they tried. So Muffin, all the love from all of us. We're all here for you.
Thank you so much, and y'all have a great night.
Good night, Muffin. Okay.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Oh, hold on. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Send me emails, guys. Share this. I don't care about subscribers. I just want everybody to know what Debbie did. Everybody needs to know the difference a prosecutor makes. Without Debbie, that man would have had 18 months of probation and would have been on the streets, victimizing more children. Debbie didn't do this as a prosecutor or a lawyer. She did it because she's an amazing person and understands what a victim impact statement needs. So thank you all. Thank you all that came here at Mike's urging. I love you all. Thank you. I'll see you guys tomorrow.